Hi, I'm Lauren Martin, also known as Lauren Martin Studio, and I'm so excited to walk you through this drawing from start to finish using the Wacom Cintiq 22. We're starting off with a sketch I did off camera. Sometimes I start my artworks in my sketchbook and import them to Photoshop, but today I just sketched straight into Photoshop. I turned down the opacity of my sketch to prepare for line work. This is definitely what I spend the most time on when I'm working on a drawing. I'm very line work focused, and I tend to do lines over and over again to get them just right. I really love the feel and control that the Wacom stylus provides. It's a very similar feel to normal pen, and I really appreciate that. I often get asked what brushes I use for line work, and I basically only use the hard round brush, and I find that gets the nice crisp line that I really like. I find it's very easy and intuitive to draw with the Wacom pen. I didn't feel like there was too much of a learning curve. I also find that with the sensitivity of the pen, it's really easy to add in small details without experiencing lag. It doesn't feel like a digital pen. I also find that the pen is very comfortable to hold in your hand, and it's customizable with different tips and grips to choose from. I'm finishing up the details on the line work here, and then I start getting into color. I usually start with the big blocks of color so I can see how everything looks together. With a drawing like this, where we're dealing with subtle color differences between the different blocks of cheese, I spend a little more time making sure those subtle off-whites and yellows are working together. And of course, everything is subject to change once I start getting into more detail. I feel like a lot of color placement is making sure you have balance and that you're distributing saturation throughout the artwork so your eye isn't drawn too quickly to one area, or at least that's what I aim for. The cheeses towards the top of the drawing are a bit brighter, so to balance it out, I'm making the handle of the cheese knife red. And I love a dramatic black shadow. And here we're just about finished with blocking in the color. Adding in the small details and the texture is my favorite part. It's what really makes the artwork pop. I really love to just zone out and do these little dots and just get in the zone. I think adding in these shadows helps give the artwork some depth. Having flat black shadows mixed with lower opacity, more subtle shadows like this give the drawing a bit more variety in a way that I really like. And I think it helps the drawing just look a little less flat, generally speaking. And here I'm using a clipping mask to get the color on the Parmesan rind looking a little bit less high contrast. And I also go in and add some texture to the rind so it doesn't look so smooth. And a little texture on this cheese rind for good measure. And last but not least, we need to pick a background color. I always struggle with this. I usually go through every color imaginable before I land on something. I tend to favor bright colors and high contrast, and I think I settled on something pretty nice here. I don't stick to a strict color palette, but I do tend to favor certain colors, and I find that I really gravitate towards blue and pink for backgrounds. I also really like gradient backgrounds, maybe as a way to avoid picking one color for a background, and for that I use this soft round brush and add a dreamy color wash to the top and bottom. And here's some final touches, a little bit more texture and a few more highlights, but yeah, here's the final drawing. I really love how this turned out, and I love how the Wacom Cintiq has upgraded my workflow. It feels so luxurious to have this much room on the screen to spread out. And I'm just so excited to see what I can create with this. Thanks for watching.